Okay. A very good morning, guys. Can you all let me know if you all can hear me and see a screen? Yes. Right. Okay. So I'll start off with explaining how the doubt clearing session works because this is the first time that we are joining for a session like this. Okay. So this doubt clearing session, Lamai, will be there every week until your exam. So every week there is a doubt clearing session that will happen. Ideally, right now we're looking at around Sunday morning this time, but depending on certain things, I might move the time around also, so that sometimes there could be students who can't attend Sunday morning. So sometimes, some weeks it might be on Saturday morning, some weeks it can be on, let's say, a Sunday night, right? It might move around a little to make sure that other students also have the opportunity to come and clarify certain doubts that they have. So ideally, how this doubt clearing session works is, now for the week, we have a study plan. So we have a study plan. Now, if you looked at this week, we had to focus on unit one. So the objective of this is for you to go through the unit. Now, on Monday, you will read your theory note. Tuesday, you will go through fast track. You will do the fast track paper. You will do certain past papers. And then there will be certain areas that you are still not very clear. And there may be certain past papers that, you tried to do, you couldn't understand. There may be certain topics, right? You might have come across maybe in some of your school paper, maybe you might have come across it somewhere else, but you're not sure how to do it. So the objective of this class, that's why it's at the end of the week. It's at the end of the week so that, after you learn all of those, if there are any further doubts, to get all of those clarified. That's why the doubt clearing session is there. And it's mainly there for the ones who are a little weak, I would say. Weak in the sense, not those who are already at the level of 90. I would say at least someone who is at the level of less than 70. You all will have doubts. No? Less than 70 means you're only around 70% okay. No? There should be certain other stuff also that you're not very clear with. So this is a place where I will go very slow also in terms of clarifying doubts. Now, in the fast track, I rapidly recap the theory, right? Now, here, if there is any question, we will go from the very basics to, get them clarified. Some questions, I'll tell you where you can go and learn it from. Like if I have a YouTube video or something, I'll tell you go and refer to this first. And so those kind of things also we will do. So then, ideally, this week's doubt clearing session will be mainly for unit number one. But I understand you might have other further doubts. You can ask those in the coming weeks when we do those units. Otherwise, after the class, because otherwise, Lamana, if I clear other unit doubts also in this right now, what happens is the recording gets messed up because this is going to be a unit one week. No? So then when I upload this recording on the website and when someone is trying to go through some unit one stuff, there'll be things in the middle. But if you all have any doubts from other units, after the class, after I end the recording, you can get those clarified as well. And then probably next week. Now, next week, you can clarify anything from unit two and unit one also. So that's how it will ideally go. So make sure that you all attend. I know it's more like an optional thing if you have doubts to come and clarify, but I'll give you a good story of why I started this doubt clearing session. I started this from the last year's batch. It wasn't there before. One reason why I started this was especially from my 2022 A-level batch. Okay, so I remember there was a girl who joined my fast track program. Okay, she joined my fast track program in 2022. I did around a 6 months to 7 months of a fast track program for them also. And when she was joining, okay, her current level, she was currently, I would say, at the level of, this is around 6 months before the exam, 6, 7 months. Her current level was at around a 20, 30 marks. And the type of questions she asked also, I realized, there are some basic parts that she doesn't understand. There are some, like very basic PC questions. Sometimes she comes and no problem, right? I'm not judging the person, but I'm just saying that where their level was. Right? Very basic, certain PPC questions, like some very basic theory. Now, for example, on law of demand, how does it work? What type of relationship between price and QD? There were some very basic things also she still got clarified. So I realized she was a little bit on a weaker end. And then a few months down the line, she was someone, she wasn't someone who was shy. Some of you all are shy, Nilama. You all don't want to ask questions. You all feel like you all will get judged. Okay, get that aside because you all pay your money. I'm not teaching you for free. I charge you 4,500 a month for all 12 classes, including all material, all recording. So make the best use of it. So she kept on clarifying her doubts. And then at the end, yeah, one thing she got an A, and not just the A. She was also not really an island rank, but she had a Z score of around 1.7 something. So a Z score of around 1.7 is enough even for you to get into Colombo management. So 6 7 months before, she was at a level of 20. By the time of A level, she was at a level of, let's say, at least would have scored around 85 marks, other subjects also included, to get a Z score of that. So what I realized there is how important it is for people to come forward and clarify their doubts. So the more and more people clarify their doubts, the more and more they ask questions. Even the smallest of thing, Lama, you can even drop me a text on WhatsApp. That's okay. Like, it might be the stupidest of thing. It might be, a very basic area. That's fine. Because we are here to get this exam done. Because if you're not going to do it today, if you're going to have this pride, then say, no, I can't ask sir, he will think I am a stupid fellow, right? He will think I'm a fool. That is the biggest mistake that you're making. Always remember, you're paying me money. I'm not doing the class for free. That's your parents' hard-earned money. Your father or mother or whoever is working hard to give you that 4,500 to join this class. So you make the best use of it, right? Drop me text on WhatsApp, get those clarified. On WhatsApp also, there's a limit that I can explain. That's why I have a Zoom session because I can't draw anything on the board or anything. But on WhatsApp also, whatever possible, I will clarify and we will get this done. So until your exam, there's always a session like this every week. Come and clarify any doubt you have. Also, when we are nearing the exam, we might have multiple doubt clearing sessions also. Okay, that's depending on that time. I'll let you all know. So how this doubt clearing session works is, Lamai, any doubts you all have, you can send it in different forms. Okay. Let me share my screen. Any doubts you have. Okay. My screen was share. So any doubts that you all have, uh, I'm telling you with past experience how the students share. Number one is you can send it on the Zoom chat box. Okay, so you can send whatever doubts that you have on the Zoom chat box. You can also unmute yourself and ask the doubt as well, but remember to mute yourself back again so that it doesn't disturb anything. So you can unmute yourself and ask the doubt, but very rarely, even the last years, almost no one did that. I don't know, maybe you all are shy enough. Okay, so you can send the doubts on the Zoom chat box. Also, you can unmute yourself and ask. On the Zoom chat box, Lama, you can even send pictures relating to any question, or, or even on WhatsApp. On what now? If it's like a text message, I would uh, prefer it coming on Zoom. Now, sometimes you all might have certain paper questions, certain stuff like that. You can, send me a picture on WhatsApp. So to explain this question. So then how I would clear it is, I would clear the doubts in the order that it starts coming. Some of you all will have doubts. Some of you all are here to listen to other people's doubts and learn from it also. That's completely fine. So you can start sending your doubts now in the order that it comes. So your doubts can be past paper questions, can be any other question, can be a topic itself. For example, so what is this? So what is social capital? So what is this? Can you explain this? It can be anything. It can even be a topic. It can even be a past paper question. It can be anything. You can start sending your doubts little by little. And then one by one, I will start clarifying them. Okay, so you can start. Already I've got a few messages. So I will jot down the doubts I get also so that others also know what kind of things I will be discussing. Mm, so the questions I have, what is resource stock? Why is it considered constant? Okay. I'll just jot down the doubts so that you all also know what I will be discussing in the future. Yes, there is. What is resource stock? Why constant? PPC is negatively slope doesn't mean decreasing opportunity cost. PPC negatively sloped is that decreasing opportunity cost. My term is the part exam where scarcity is just a part of the exam. So why is something microeconomics? Scarcity micro. Then I have, if they say distinguish and ask in what ways, market and commodity can differ from each other, can be put up a table. I'll clarify that now itself. I would recommend not to go with a table that looks like a very uh, childish answer. So I would recommend I will give you a answer format to how to write distinguished questions. So I'll complete distinguish. Mm, oh. Now I know your textbook in your past paper might have a table. Underemployment, unemployment, employment, and unemployment. Okay. Difference between normal intensity and maximum intensity. Normal intensity and maximum intensity. Okay. Market economy and command scarcity. Market and command scarcity. Scarcity lead to trade-off. Uh, Disadvantage of command. Can you say no property rights? No, not really. Don't say that. 2013 MCQ 6. Uh, Importance of private property rights. Private property rights. Consumer sovereignty and freedom of choice. Consumer sovereignty and not real exactly the same, but it comes together. Freedom of choice. Hold on, there's a lot. Moral incentives. Yeah, moral incentives, yes, there are in traditional systems, but that doesn't mean it's only in a traditional economic system. Okay, I'm hoping that questions, please. I'm not writing it down. Mostly they are in traditional, yes. Positive, negative, and zero output gap. Mm, a very thing in PPC, but okay. Positive, negative, and zero output gaps. Uh, Capital and human capital. Capital and human capital, the difference. Then there is free market economy and market economy same? Yes. Okay, so when you call it a free market economy or you can call it a liberal market economy, it's the same. What is economic growth in slow command compared to market? Okay, economic growth slow in command. Okay. Economic boom is a economic expansion where the economy is growing. Remember, boom, we touched a little on it in unit number 5 also. So something like an economic boom, if they ask you to show it on a PPC, you can show it with a rightward shift. So economic boom is where the economy is expanding, where you can, able to produce more. Choice trade-off. Yes, the trade-off story that is there. I put that. What is name? All the goods will be freely provided by the government, which has incurred a cost to the government. There is no specific name like that, but there are things called public goods. Uh, there is no exact name to the goods that the government provides freely to the public. So some of them, most of them are economic goods. You can't call them free goods. Money specialization division of labor. Okay. How does money lead to specialization and division of labor? So Sri Lanka is a mixed economy. So under mixed economy only, you have social and social market and socialist market. That's something that you all get confused sometimes. Under mixed economy, you have social market economy, you have socialist market. So Sri Lanka is a mixed economy. Inside mixed economy also, we are more like a social market. Okay, we are a mixed economy. Socialist, social versus. I'm guessing you're talking about social versus socialist market. Uh, how will people look? Land, land primary. Okay. Have, uh, how will the PPC look when quality of education increases? PPC will shift right. Increase in productivity. Okay, so there are some MCQs. Guys, the ones who have past papers, I'm guessing you all would have checked for the video on YouTube also. And still it wasn't clear because don't wait until the very end until the week to get it clarified. Because past papers, if you have doubts, you can quickly check on the YouTube video, like I told you all uh, in the first class, 2013 to 16, 3 and 6, 17, 5 and 6, 22. Okay. Social market socialist. In a mixed economy, we have price planning mechanism. Yes, price mechanism is dominant. Now, even if you take in Sri Lanka in a mixed economy, even though you have both, price mechanism will be dominant. Correct. Full employment, full production. Full production. Okay, there is a lot, Lamine. Let me going one by one. Hold on. Disadvantages of a market. Disadvantages of a market economy. Uh, division of labor, increasing production. Market and personal comes determined by factor price and the quantity exchange, the market. Yes, correct. Division labor coming, opportunity cost has a market cost. Has a market cost. Potential output. Yeah, what's potential output? Role of entrepreneurs. That was there in the 2022 question. Yeah. Role of entrepreneurs. Why is it not fixed while considering? I'll come to that. PPC technology fixed. Why not? In opportunity cost. Productive efficiency means economic self-sufficient in all products. No. Productive efficiency is different. Self-sufficient in all products. Yes, self-sufficient means you're not importing or exporting. So that means you're producing everything in your country itself. You're not importing, exporting anything. So just because you have productive efficiency, you can't say that an economy is self-sufficient. Why is not necessary to have market economic capitalist? That part I went through in class, but I'll go through again. Market economy capitalist. Uh, bowed out and negatively slope. Bowed out means concave, negatively slope means downward slope. Not the same. Protection of property rights, it's there, 2013 MCQ question 2. Yeah, that I jotted down. This one I got down, if one by rights and prove 2023 MCQ 3. Trade-off and choice. I'll come to that. There was a question there. Transition economy. I'll come to transition economy. Uh, Functions of an economic system. Remember, I told you during class, it's to answer the three basic economic problems. So the functions of an economic system are deciding what to produce in what quantity, deciding how to produce, and deciding who. Those are the functions of an economic system. PPC negative slope, outcome, marginal cost, marginal benefit, marginal benefit, socialist, if there's a rise in unemployment. No, unemployment, it's a point moving. Transition economy, I saw that. Give more time. Economic systems. No, mixed economy will be a main economy. Don't worry. How to understand whether it's shift or movement. I went through that in class in case you missed. I will go through that again. Shift or movement. PPC is negatively slope, linear slope, private property rights, classify economic resources, economic, non-economic. Extra question on maximum output, normal output, productive and allocative efficiency. I think the whole unit is over here. I'll come one by one. Does a graduate getting a job creates an opportunity? Not really if he's unemployed. No, Islamic economic system, you're not going to get that. Okay, right. So now these are the ones that I have for now. I'll come into any other doubts that you all will also have along the way. So one by one, Lamai, I will get this clarified. I'll quickly give some explanations, and also the whoever who sent this question, you know that you sent the question. After I explain, when I ask if it is okay, just let me know if it is okay. If you have any additional question again connecting to that, at that moment itself, ask. Okay. Now, so we'll start with the first few things that we have. First thing is, what is resource stock and why is it held constant? So some questions I will not be writing anything in the board. I'll just be explaining. So what is resource stock? Now, what are your resources? Resources refer to land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship. That is your resource. So how much of resources you have is what we call your resource stock. So for example, let's say in Sri Lanka, we have, I don't know, let's say 100 units of land. Labor, let's say we have 1,000 labor. Capital, let's say we have 500. And let's say entrepreneurship, we have 200 entrepreneurs in our country. So this total is what you call Sri Lanka's resource stock. Then why is it held constant? Now, why do you hold this constant when drawing the PPC? That is because now, if these are changing, we can't draw a PPC, Nilama. A PPC is drawn to show what? A PPC is drawn to show the maximum sustainable output we can produce with our resources. Now, if we don't hold this constant, how do we draw the PPC? Because if the labor is changing every single day, if the capital is changing every single day, then, you know, our PPC every single moment will be going up, going down, no? That is why when we are drawing the PPC, we make an assumption. We assume that the resource stock at the point of drawing the PPC, that the resource stock is constant, because otherwise you can't draw. Same thing now, same thing. When we draw the demand curve, remember under law of demand, when you're drawing the demand curve, you assume other factors are constant. No, remember demand curve. When you're drawing the demand curve, price is changing, but other factors affecting demand are constant. Because if the other factors are also changing, you can't draw a demand curve. The demand curve will keep on moving up and down and up and down. That is why you hold the resource stock constant. Not just the resource stock, you hold the resource productivity also constant. Is that clear? What is resource stock? Why do you hold it constant? Then coming into the next one. The next doubt that I had was on PPC is negatively sloped. I'll connect this with some other questions also. Some people ask me this bout out and negatively sloped story. So what is this PPC negatively sloped? No, no. PPC is negatively sloped to represent what? A PPC. Now they can ask you, why is a PPC negatively sloped? What is negatively sloped, Kian Laman? Negatively sloped means, now remember the demand curve. We say demand curve is negatively sloped. So now if you take a PPC is not upward sloping. No, you don't have a PPC like this, Nilaman. You don't have a straight line PPC like this. So they're asking you, why is the PPC negatively sloped? Now, it can be increasing opportunity cost. It can be constant opportunity cost. It can be decreasing opportunity. So all of these are negatively sloped. If you try to increase the production of, let's say, this good, you have to sacrifice this good. You can't increase both. So if you try to increase the production of one, you have to sacrifice the other. That is what negatively sloped is telling us. So why is it negatively sloped? A PPC is negatively sloped. Lamai, the main reason is due to scarcity, right? Due to scarcity, and yes, the opportunity cost because of it. Now, if you have unlimited resources, if you have enough and more resources, then you don't have to give up on one good to get the other. Okay? The main reason why it is negatively sloped is because there is what? Scarcity. Now, because of scarcity, when you try to increase the production of one good, you have to sacrifice the production of another. You can't go and increase the production of, let's say, capital goods and consumer goods both at once. You can't do that. That is why, Lamai, the PPC is negatively sloped. So whether it is bowed out or whether it is a straight line or whatever, the shape doesn't matter. All the PPCs are negatively sloped. Reason why? Because there is what? There is scarcity. And scarcity leads to what? Opportunity cost. So when you try to increase the production of, let's say, one good, you have to decrease the production of the that leads to opportunity. That's why a PPC we say is negatively sloped. So then if someone asks why is it negatively sloped and bowed outward? Negatively sloped because of scarcity and opportunity. Then why is it bowed outward? Now what is bowed outward? Bowed outward means that's an increasing opportunity cost situation. No? Bowed out. The thing is out. So then you can say the reasons for increasing opportunity cost. Remember, resources between the industries are not the same, non-homogeneous resources. Resource productive in one industry are not productive in the other. Technology is different, and you can write. So if they ask you, why is the PPC negatively sloped and a straight line? Then negatively sloped, you can talk about the scarcity opportunity cost. Why is it a straight line and a constant opportunity? That's how you answer that question. Is that fine? The ones, all those there, I think around 4 or 5 people who had a question on that shape. Why is it this thing? And okay, good. Then moving into the next. Scarcity, why is the microeconomic topic, Lamai? Now, I understand scarcity. We sometimes, now if you look at scarcity, it's like, it's the limitedness of resources compared to unlimited ones. But in our syllabus, we consider scarcity as a microeconomic topic. Now, it can be macro also, it can be micro also, Lamai. Something like scarcity. Now, for example, you can even talk about scarcity for one individual firm. And you can even talk about scarcity for me. Now, for example, let's take me. Me as a person, I have only, let's say I'm running a business. These are the land labor capital I have. Now, with my land labor capital, I can't, let's say right now, I'm doing A-level econ classes. Now, with that, I can't do accounting classes. I don't have the labor to do business studies classes and do some O-level classes and do everything. I don't have capacity for that. So you can take scarcity connecting to one individual, one firm also. You can take scarcity connecting to an entire country also. So it can be micro and macro kind of both. But in our syllabus, right, that is how the marking scheme and the whole teacher's guide is made. They consider it as a microeconomic topic. But in general, you can think of it both ways. You can connect scarcity with an individual or a firm. You can connect scarcity with the entire country also. Is that okay? It can be both, but in our syllabus, we take it under a micro topic. Hmm? For convex, they'll not go with the reasons. So, is that okay, the one who had the question, or is there anything further? Okay, I'm guessing that's fine. Because if you ask the question, just reply if your doubt was clear. If not, clarify it further, right? Because otherwise, I don't know whether you understood or not. Okay. So then coming into this, when coming into distinguish, how do you clarify the format? So distinguish, or if they ask you, in what ways does a market economy differ from a command economy? Uh, I would say something like this. The best format would be, there are two ways to write a distinguished question. I would generally not recommend to have a small table and write level, because this table and writing is very babyish. It's like you writing a O level low, grade 8, grade 9 kind of a term exam question. It's something like that. So when the question verb is distinguish, right, there are two ways that you can write. Now, here what I would recommend is, right, there is a better form. So let me show you this. So when they say distinguish, when the question verb says distinguish, let's say the question is distinguish between a command economy and a market economy. Let's say that's the question. So you know how I would write it is, one ideal format of me writing this is, I would start off my answers with, now think when you're writing a table, you put the table into a sentence. So I would say, for example, one distinguishing factor, one distinguishing factor between a market and a command economy is that a market economy, a market economy uses price mechanism, uses price mechanism to solve its basic economic problems. Market economy uses price mechanism to solve its basic economic problems, while while a command economy, a command economy uses planning mechanism. So that is 1 mark, right? So you give 1 point like that. Then what you can do is, and now your second point. So same way, now you give a different one. So you can say, okay, further, a market economy, right? Or let's say the consumers and the producers in a market economy are driven with self-interest, while in a command economy, the motive would be towards social or maximizing social wealth. So same thing that you might give it in a table, you give it in 4 points like this. So now this point will be around 3-4 lines in your paragraph. Three, 4 line paragraph, small. Can be even shorter, no problem. But if you can give, now if it's a 4 mark question, give 4 points like that. You can clearly see the difference. So market users this, plan use this. This uses this uses this. So if it is like that, then you can properly give it in a format like this. Now, sometimes they might ask you, let's say, Lamai, sometimes they might ask you, distinguish between, let's say, I'll just give a simple topic, distinguish between uh, economic and non-economic goods. Economic and now this is also, right, non-economic goods. This is also a distinguished question. Now, for this Lamai, you can't use the first format. Now, the first distinguished format, if there are clear differences between the two, you can write. Now, economic, non-economic. For this question, what I would recommend as a format is, now you write a paragraph on economic goods. Right? So you give a paragraph about economic goods. So you can say, economic goods are the goods that are limited in supply, right? And then you can say these usually involve the price. There is a resource cost. There is an opportunity cost involved in producing these goods. And you can give some examples also. And you give a nice paragraph, right, covering 2 marks, the main features. And then you can say, on the other hand, now you can write about non-economic goods. You can say, now you write another paragraph. Then you can say, on the other hand, non-economic goods are the goods that are unlimited in supply. These goods do not involve an opportunity. That you write the features and give some examples in it. So that is how you can write an answer like that. So for a distinguished question, basically there are two formats. One is you give it this way, each point by point. That is recommended if you all can clearly see the difference between something like market and command. If you know 4 different distinguishing features, you can give it in point formula that a market economy uses price mechanism, while a command economy uses planning mechanism. You can give it that. But if they say distinguish between economic and non-economic goods, then it's better to give in the second format that I have recommended. That can be your answer format. Is that clear? Yes, first para market, second para command also you can write, but it's better to, if there are 4 distinguishing features, better to give it in point form. You can take a common heading and distinguish as well, but can you find common headings for everything? That's something that is there. Okay. Then we have a distinguish. Outline means, Lamai, that's a little bit more than state. Now, for example, when they say state, you write points. Outline means you expand the point a little. Remember, in our revision, we went through those. I will anyway go through that when we do more papers and start the past paper. Format for classifying. There is no format as such. Yes, opportunity cost, marginal opportunity cost is the opportunity cost of producing one extra unit. Okay, distinguished format done. Okay. Underemployment and unemployment. What is unemployment? Unemployment is where a person is looking for a job but doesn't have a job. That is unemployed. What is underemployed? Underemployed is where a person has a job but he is not being used for his maximum capacity. Now, for example, let's say you passed A levels, you got a local university degree, you finished a professional qualification also. And when you go to work, your job is to photocopy paper. So you have a job. You're not unemployed, but you are much more clarified. You're much more suitable to do something more, right? You can do much more than just photocopying paper. Or not someone who is there to photocopy paper. I mean, you have done a local uni degree, you have done a professional qualification, you passed A levels well, you don't have to be photocopying paper. That's what you call underemployed. Underemployment means you have a job, but you're not being used to your maximum capacity. And how do you show that on a PPC level? You can show that also by a point inverse. So you're not getting the maximum use of that resource. No? So this person can contribute much more, but you're getting a very less use of it. That's how unemployment, both are shown by a point inside, but theoretically they are two different concepts. Is that okay? Fine. Then what is normal intensity and maximum intensity? So Lamai, now if okay, I'll tell you my day. Now, let's take a normal person, let's say me. If I am working in my normal intensity, I will be, let's say, working around 8-9 hours a day. That's my normal intensity. What I can, so normal intensity is also what you call your sustainable contribution. You can continuously keep doing this. So let's say for a week, I can work 8-9 hours a day for, let's say, 5-6 days. One day I can take a break. Again, I can work 8-9 hours. No problem. I can continuously do that. That is my normal intensity. Then what is my maximum intensity? Now, there are certain days where I, let's say, start classes at 6 o'clock in the morning. I go to office also those days. I have around 2 classes after office where my classes end at around 11:30. at night. So if that happens, then I start at, let's say, 6 o'clock, finish at 11 o'clock means there I am working 12 plus 11, I'm working at 12 plus 5, that's around 17 hours a day. Now that could be my maximum intensity. That's the highest I can work. So uh, then when you talk about potential output, Laman, when you're determining a country's potential output, can you all tell me, we look at what? Potential output. The potential output is the total maximum output a country can produce. Is it based on normal intensity or is it based on maximum intensity? Now, even the PPC that we are drawing shows what level? Normal or maximum intensity? What do you all think? It is based on Lamai normal intensity, not on maximum intensity. Now, you all remember Lamai during COVID, there were now, remember just when the COVID outbreak came and people started getting, doctors were working 24-hour, 36-hour shifts, Lamai. No sleep. So they were, entire day they are awake. Next day also half the day they are awake. And then, they might be sleeping for like 3-4 hours, again back in operation. So that is maximum intensity. So when you're drawing the PPC or when you're determining the potential output of a country, you don't expect people to work 24 hours now. You expect them to work in their normal intensity. That is their sustainable level. Working at around, let's say, 8 to 9 hours a day. The even machines, let's say machines being used at a normal level. Right? Now you can maybe run machines 24/7, but that doesn't mean you do that. Okay. GDP is a different concept. Guys, don't put it onto this. GDP is the total output the country produces, whether it's normal or maximum, that we don't care. And then also, now, even if you take something like land, now if Sri Lanka wants, we can now, land means natural resources. No? We can cut down our trees. We can, go and, build what highways there. We can build hotels. We can do that. But that is like maximum intensity. You're harming the future. So normal intensity means, okay, a few trees are cut down. Some in some other regions, some trees are planted. Little by little, slowly you get that. So all your resources have to ideally be used in normal intensity. That is what the potential output refers to now. So potential output is what is shown through your PPC. So your PPC, the combinations of goods, is through normal intent. So, does that mean can we temporarily produce outside the PPC? Can a country temporarily produce outside the PPC? Yes or no? PPC is drawn for normal intensity. Can a country temporarily produce outside? You can, Lamai, because what if people work in their maximum intensity? What if all the labor, what if everyone, instead of working 18 hours, now they are working 16 hours this month? What if all the machines that were running, let's say 10 hours, now are running 24/7? So if you use your resources in its maximum intensity, you can even produce outside the PPC. You can. But can you sustain that? Can you continuously do that? Can you continuously keep a person working 16 hours, machines running 24/7? No. So temporarily, if you want, you can produce outside the PPs. But that can't happen for a short term. During COVID, there were doctors who were working, let's say, overtime, working 24 hours, 36 hours. That was that. But did that continue forever? No. That is that. Okay. Uh, okay. Hoping is that part clear now? Normal intensity, maximum intensity, connecting that with potential output. Anyone else with any other questions? Okay. Then, okay. If they ask you, how does a market and a command economy answer the problem of scarcity? Now, this is where sometimes the examiner, same answer they are expecting, but they ask it in a different way. How? Now, in other words, you know what they are asking here? They are asking, how does a market economy solve the three basic economic problems? Now, because of scarcity, those problems come. Due to scarcity, every economy has to decide what? They have to decide what to produce, how to produce, and whom to produce. Because of scarcity only, they have to decide on this. So, If they ask you how does a market and command economy answer the problem of scarcity, you can start off your answer by saying, look here, due to scarcity, any economic system has to answer three basic problems, which is what to produce, how to produce, whom to produce. And then you can start writing, okay, this is how a market economy answers. So a market economy will answer what to produce. Okay, using price mechanism, most profitable goods. How to produce like this, whom to produce like this. And then on the other hand, a command economy will answer it like this. So that is what you need to do. So instead of asking how does a market and command answer three basic economic problems, that twisting the question. That's what the examiner will do, Lavan. Because I told you, there is nothing much the examiner can ask now. So same to get the same answer, he will twist the question a little here and there. So don't worry when you get complete, little scary stuff here and there. Is that okay? The one who had the question. Okay. Then, right. Then there were other people who had also this question, like scarcity and trade-off. So what is trade-off? Now, what is this trade-off? What is opportunity cost? How does it differ? And let me quickly explain. So you all know, Naman. Now, what is the scarcity and trade-off? It's now 7. Scarcity. How does scarcity lead to a trade-off? So, Lamai, scarcity arises due to what? Scarcity arises due to, there are two conditions. One, you have limited resources, and you have unlimited wants. So due to limited resources and unlimited wants, what happens? That leads to scarcity. So these scarce resources, we say, have alternative uses. Alternative uses. So because of this, what should we do? We need to make a choice. When we make a choice, we say that leads to opportunity cost. So then where does trade-off connect in this story? Now, what is a trade-off? A trade-off is what you're sacrificing. Now, if I ask you, what is your trade-off of coming for this class? You will say, so I could have slept a little bit more. So I could have done a little bit of, I could have studied some other subject. I could have done some econ past papers. I could have, maybe, gone out for a morning workout. I don't know if any of you have workout, but yeah. Okay. So all of that is there. Now, opportunity cost, now I remember now, okay, let's say with 1,000 rupees, with 1,000 rupees, I can do, let's say, my choices are buying a past paper book, ordering on Uber Eats and eating something. Number 3, let's say going out for a movie with a friend. Number 4, uh, let's say putting a reload. These are your choices. So you will go with your first option. You will always, a rational consumer, after ranking his choices, would always go with the first. So with the 1,000 rupees, you decided to buy a past paper book. So what is your opportunity cost then? The food that you could have ordered and ate from Uber Eats. Satisfaction you could have got from that. Now, trade-off is a little different from opportunity cost. Trade-off is not just the option that you're foregoing. Trade-off is all what you're sacrificing. So all of this is a trade-off. So because of this, I have to sacrifice this also. I have to sacrifice this also. So all of that is what you call a trade-off. So trade-off is all the things that you sacrifice. Opportunity cost is not everything you sacrifice. Opportunity cost is the next best thing you sacrifice. So they will ask you, how does scarcity lead to a trade-off? So you have to explain the story. Scarcity is because of this and this. These scarce resources have alternative uses. You can't do all of it. So when you decide to do one of those, you have to sacrifice the others. So that is how that leads to a trade-off. So when you decide to, let's say, buy a past paper book, you have to sacrifice the food that you could have got from Uber Eats, any movie you could have attended, any reload you could have sacrificed all of it. So all of that becomes a trade-off. Now, what's the trade-off? What you are sacrificing. Is opportunity cost and trade-off the same? Not really. Opportunity cost is your next best trade-off, I would say, or your second best alternate. So opportunity cost is only the food from Uber Eats, but trade-off can be every time. No, no, trade-off will also have your next best alternative. So your trade-off will have number 2, 3, and 4 in this example. Yes, so due to choice. Now, due to a choice only, a trade-off is created, right? Due to scarcity, a choice is created. When you choose one, you have to sacrifice the others. So when I decide that I am going to buy a past paper book with my 1,000 rupees, I have to sacrifice everything else. So a choice led to a trade-off. How scarcity led to the choice, choice led to the trade-off. Okay? That is the story there. And remember, this was there in a past paper as well. So I'll have further questions asked. If not, let me know if that is okay. Trade-off, choice, scarcity, that. Fine. Uh, then going into the next. Mm, okay, so there are a few past paper MCQs. We'll quickly go through this. 2013 MCQ 6, that was their 2013 MCQ 6. Okay, these past papers. Mm, Let me go into my past papers, guys. Also, one more thing, in case you can also watch the YouTube recording. Let me first show you that in case you missed that part. So all past papers, Lamai, are there in the uh, this entire past paper tute is discussed and uploaded on YouTube. That is, did it for the previous batch. For you all also, I will be doing a separate past paper class that when I commence, I'll let you all know. Right now, we'll settle down a little bit the fast track and then we'll start. So I showed this to you all on last Monday. For still those who are a little lost and not sure, you go to YouTube. On YouTube, you go to the channel IQ the SL. IQ the SL. So on the YouTube channel, once you go there, you can go to maybe you can scroll down playlist or anything. You will see a playlist here, past papers unit 1. So this has all the past papers that is there in the tute. So it's in order. So first you have the 2011 MCQs, the 2003, all the files are also nicely renamed. So you can find the question. So 2011 MCQ, question 1 to 9. There are 9 MCQs in the 2011 paper. Then 2012 MCQ paper 1, question 1 to 6 MCQs. So same order of the tute that I shared with you, the PDF tute. And revision people, you all should have the printed one. Same order, and then after that, the essay questions are also there. So if you get stuck with the past paper, now just like this, in the next one, there's unit 2 and 3. Now 2 and 3, I put it together. You can go and do next week when you all are doing next week and the week after, you all will be doing 2 and 3. You can do. So all of that again is in order. So if you get stuck with the past paper, quickly go and find the video. I don't have to teach you all find videos. So find the video and watch it. If you're still stuck, because past papers you have to finish by Thursday, Friday, and all you have to do. If you still don't understand, yes, definitely come to the past paper class and clarify. But on the past paper class, the doubt clearing session and clarify. But don't wait until the doubt clearing session to clarify your past paper because it's always there on YouTube, freely available. Ads won't play. It's not a monetized account. So you can watch anything freely without any ads and without any fellow coming and troubling you. Okay. So let me quickly go through these questions anyway. 2011, 9, 13, 2, and 6. 2011, question number 9. Okay. So this I think was there in the fast track paper also. One of the main functions of price, remember price has 3 functions. You have the signaling function, you have the incentive function, and you have the rationing function. So if you look at this, which one? Which one is our answer? Allocate scarce resources looks correct, right? Can be connected to rationing. We look at the others. Provide a mechanism to firms to make profit. That's not a this thing. Provide improve economic stability, improve distribution of income, determine last again. No. So it has to be number 1. So allocate. Remember, another word for rationing is allocate. So remember, I explained in class also. How do I allocate, let's say, 150 seats in the fast track class to 200 students who are willing to come? I can increase my price. So I have scarce resource. I have only 150 printed fast track books. How do I allocate it to 200 people who want to come? I will say class fees is not 4,500. I will say class fees is 5,000. Some of you all might drop. Okay. Why not the second one? It's not really, this is not a main function of price level. So, for example, to provide a mechanism for to make profits, it's not just the price, right? Now, for example, to make a profit, right? It's the price. You have to sell number of units, right? Your total revenue, your total cost, all of that is connected when you're looking at price. So it's not really a main function. Yes, maybe prices can be connected a little with profits, but they are not asking you for all the functions. They're asking you for a main function. So main function has to be along in the line of this signaling, incentive, rationing. Okay. Right. That is that. Is that okay, Lama? Then the next one we had was 2013, 2 and 6. 2013, question 2. This also we spoke of in class, the opportunity cost of increasing capital investment in a fully employed economy. Remember, I told you a country can produce broadly two goods. One is capital goods, the other one is consumer goods. So if you increase the production of capital goods, what do you have to sacrifice? You have to sacrifice your consumption goods. So what is the opportunity cost of increasing capital investment? You can say that it will be a fall in consumption. Broadly, two types of goods. Then question 6. This one, the diagram shows the production possibility curves of two countries, X, Y. Which statement of the two are correct? Both countries have identical opportunity costs. So you can calculate them. So if you take, let's say, country X to produce 200 capital goods, they have to sacrifice 100 consumer goods. Yeah. So in country X to produce 200 capital goods, they have to forego 100 consumer goods. So their opportunity cost is 0.4 consumer goods. Country X for capital goods, their opportunity cost is 0.5 consumer goods. Same way you can calculate for each of these. Then can you say both countries have identical opportunity cost? No, love. Opportunity cost won't be identical. When you calculate, you can see that. Both countries have the same future growth prospects. We can't conclude on that because we don't know where exactly they are producing. Now, for example, if country X or Y, whichever country, if they are producing at the same point, let's say they are producing at this point, then you can say, okay, same future growth. But let's say if one country is producing more capital goods than the other, then that country might grow. So the same future also, we don't have 100% enough information to conclude, but maybe we can say, looking at the PPC, we can say country X's PPC is a little bit more to capital. Maybe if you want, you can say country X has more potential to grow further. But still, you can't 100% say that also. Okay. Then the opportunity costs are increasing in both countries. No, it's a straight line PPC. So opportunity costs in both countries are constant. The two countries can never produce the same combination. That's also wrong, right? The two countries can produce them. The point that I have marked in the graph here, the middle point where the 2 point curves are intersecting. So they are the two countries are producing the same combination. You can. So not this. Then country X has a higher opportunity cost than country Y in producing consumer goods. So you calculate and see, Lama. I'm not going into detail. You can refer to the past paper book. So see, for example, in country Y, to produce 200 consumer goods, they have to sacrifice 100 capital goods. So what is their opportunity cost? Then in country X, what is their opportunity cost? And then see, that should be your correct one, ideally. Can someone confirm that was the correct one, right? 2013 6. Yes. No. Okay. Then the next one. 2016 3 and 6, 17 5 and 6. 16 uh 16 3 and 6. Okay, so this also I don't think is very hard. In a free market economy, which of the following is incorrect? Incorrect, wrong. Prices allocate resources equally among competing production sectors? No, right? So in a market economy, right, you will, based on price mechanism, they won't allocate resources equally. Whatever goods that are most profitable, they will go and produce those. So you can't say they will allocate goods equally. This can be the wrong. Prices indicate relative scarcity. Yes, that is the signaling function. Correct. Relative price changes are a determinant of firm's profit and therefore encourage or discourage the incorrect. So, for example, if the price of, let's say, tuition classes increase, that means that's a signal saying, okay, look here, producers, you can gain more profits from it. So it's kind of giving a signal also. Prices are a measure of consumers' willingness to pay for goods. Yes. Prices signal to consumers how much they must sacrifice to obtain a commodity. Yes, for you to come and get the benefit of this class, you have to sacrifice 4,500 rupees. That's also correct. So which one is the wrong one? Prices allocate goods equally. So remember, in a market economy, there is no equality. Whatever goods that can get the highest profit, whatever that will get you more money, you will produce those. There is no thing saying resources will be allocated equally. So not that. Then next one we had was 2003 and 6, 5 and 6. Okay. Question 6. Potential output, again, can't be a very difficult one. Maximum GDP, no. Achieved during periods where labor force is employed in tradable goods, nonsense. A goal that can never be achieved, no. Yeah. Okay, so GDP that can be produced when the economy's resources were fully employed at normal intensity of utilization. You may explain that. So if you use all your resources at your normal intensity, that's your sustainable level, people working 8 hours, machines working for their relevant time, what you can achieve is what you call your potential output. GDP that can be produced at maximum intensity, no. Okay, so 6 is 4. Then 2017, 3 and 5. 2017. Which of the following is assumed in a production possibility curve? Assumptions are clearly there. So what are the assumptions? Economy is using its resource inefficiently. No, you assume that all resources are used efficiently. Resources utilized to private goods. That is not an assumption. They're asking these assumptions. And this is not. Full employment, but not full production. No. Production technology is fixed. Yes. There is no inflation economy. No. So this is the assumption. So you assume. Remember, there are assumptions in the field, there in the tutor, that you produce only 2 goods, all resources in the stock and the quality of it is constant, technology is constant, all resources are used to its maximum efficient level. Those are all assumptions when drawing the PPs. So number 4 is your answer. Then this was a good question. Because I don't have the marking scheme. A lot of people texted me for the marking schemes of these MCQs. I don't have it typed. These are there in your past paper book. Yes, I'm hoping you all have a past paper book. Please, you might be wasting so much money on other things. Just buy a past paper book as well, right? It will cost you 1,500, let's say 2,000 rupees, but there's a lot that you can do. Or if you can't buy one, at least borrow from someone who already did the exam. You have someone, a relative or a friend or someone from the senior batch, just drop them a text and get this one. Because I don't have all the past papers questions. I have it. I don't have the answers typed. I don't have to replicate the answers again because that is there in your past paper. The fundamental economic question of what to produce and whom to produce are essentially interdependent. So what to produce, whom to produce. You will see how they are interdependent. So they say different patterns of income distribution generate different patterns of demand. Therefore, different patterns of resource allocation. Looks correct. I'll come to why. Different patterns of production methods. Now, these questions are not put that tricky. So you have to eliminate the wrong ones. Now, patterns of production methods. The production methods are labor intensive, capital intensive. That is how to produce. They are not asking how to produce. They are asking how, what, and whom to produce, how they are connected. So can't be two there. Income and wealth are concentrated in the economically powerful. Here they talk about the only one side of the thing. They're not again connected. Markets cannot be relied upon to allocate resources. A particular level of output may be produced by different combinations of that and that. So then, how do I come up with this answer? They're asking why is it connected? So here's different patterns of income distribution. That is the whom to produce side, and how the income is distributed. Generate different patterns of demand. Therefore, different patterns of resource allocation. That is what to produce. So this, don't you think? Now, you might not sometimes, now, when you all are doing these questions, you might not understand the question 100%. That's okay. But you need to have some pulled up common sense to, cut off some unwanted answers and see which one connects, which one talks about what and whom. So what to produce is about resource allocation. Whom to produce is about how the income is distributed and how the goods get distributed. And then there is an answer that talks about those. Then that has to be yours. That's how you get answers like that. Okay. Those fine. Shape. Then there is 17, 5, and 6, 2022 question 4. 2017. Oops, did I go with the wrong question? 5. Main function of price, this I think is fine. That is clearly there. Number 5. Did I miss any question? 2016, 3 and 6. Did I go through that? 2016, 3 and 6 went through. This I went through. Then we have 2022 question 4. 2022. So 2022 question 4, again, I think we did discuss this. Which the following characterizes a social market? Remember what is a social market? Again, there were questions to differentiate between social market, socialist market. Let me do that now itself. I went through this in class. In case you were not listening, just listen again. It should be there in our recording of what we did on Tuesday. So what is a social market? So both of these lamai are mixed economies. So under mixed economies, you have, I think my connection was a little unstable. I have my camera off for a little. Under mixed economies lamai, you have social market and you have socialist market. Remember, lamai, socialist market economy and a socialist economy are different. Now, don't put socialist here, it's socialist market. So what is a social market economy? A social market economy is very similar to a market economy. That means price mechanism, private ownership, all of that. However, the government will intervene for what? Government will intervene for this social justice to provide welfare, pensions, transfers, samurdhi benefits, for the poor people, for the disabled people, for the unemployed people. To help those people, government will always intervene. That's what you call a social market. Very similar to a market economy, but the government will always intervene for that social protection thing, like provide welfare and all of that. Then what is a socialist market? Remember, I told you this, I explained using the words itself. A socialist market is where socialist, the government owns the resources, socialist. Market, but they use price mechanics. Even though the government owns all the land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship, yeah, the decisions relating to those are made through price mechanics. That's what I call a socialist market. Example, a country like China. Okay, we discuss. So then, characteristics of a social market here, which can be a characteristic, probably number 4, strong state role in the provision of welfare services. I don't have the 23 paper in this. Shall we come to it when we do that in our past paper class, the one who had the 2023 doubt? I don't think it should be a very hard one. 2023 paper itself was kind of not that bad. Okay. Okay, so then these are done. Okay. Then on this one, Lamai, I will let you to watch the past paper question. Right? This importance of private property rights. Again, something I discussed, I think in class also, I told you, what is private property rights? Private property rights is the right that you have to modify or sell or do whatever with your property. But then I told you, in a market economy, to now usually who gives you that property right? Now, for example, for a house, it's the house deed. Who gives you a house deed? The government. But in a market economy, when there is no government, who is going to give you that property right? Who is going to give you a business registration document? Who is going to give you, let's say, a house deed? So if there is no property rights, Lamai, I told you there won't be production because people will be scared. Someone else will come and steal their thing. Let's say I'm a farmer, I'm growing some vegetables. So if I don't have the deed for that land, tomorrow you will come and say, look here, this is my land and you will take my vegetables. So if there are no property rights now, my production won't happen. Then people won't save money also. Now, let's say you now, when you put your money into a bank, they give you like a passbook, no? That is the document that is signifying the property right. That's a document saying, look here, this bank account is mine. It's under my name. Whatever money in this is mine. Now, what if you put money in your bank and later 1 month when you're going to take it, bank says, no, no, this is my money. Will you ever put money in the bank? No. So if there are no property rights, there won't be savings. There won't be production. So the economy will not function. That's why we say it's very important to have private property rights. So someone in the market economy, okay, has to be there to establish these property rights. Maybe the government in their limited role has to be doing this, or some other form of thing has to be there. So because only if these property rights are well established, there will be production, there will be people saving money. Otherwise, the entire economy collapses. No, because if there is no production, there is no exchange and distribution element. You can't have an economy. That's the part there. It's in detail explained. If you have my theory class recording, definitely go back to that. I would have taken around 15, 20 minutes and explained. If not, go back for this past paper question. It's there on YouTube. Okay. Yeah. Uh, no, PPC, CPC, not in unit 1. Okay. Consumer sovereignty and freedom of choice, are they the same? Not exactly the same. Freedom of choice means you can choose. You're not forced to buy anything. You can buy whatever you want. You have that. Consumer sovereignty means consumer is the most important person. Consumer will decide what he wants. Based on what he wants, only producers will produce them. Now, for example, you all have decided, okay, I want to do econ as a subject. So based on you deciding you want econ as subject only, I'm offering econ classes. Now, I didn't come and force any of you all and say, do econ for A-levels, do econ for A-levels. No. You all decided, okay, I'm going to do econ as a subject. I am going to go for a class. I never came and forced you all and said, come for my class, come for my class. No. So you decided I am going to do econ as a subject. I am going to go for a class. So I am offering you service. So consumer determines what he wants now. And based on that, only producer will produce. That's what you call consumer sovereignty. Freedom of choice. With consumer sovereignty, there is freedom of choice also, but it's not exactly the same. Freedom of choice means you can choose whatever you want. Now, for example, if you want to go for a class, you have the choice of coming to my class. Or when there are 10 other teachers, you can go to their classes as well. Freedom of choices. That's the story. Then positive negative output gaps. So this output gaps, I don't think they'll question very much in unit number 1. But if you want to, right, you can show this using a PPC. So if you, now PPC shows your potential output. Actual output will be shown by a point that you're producing. So if your actual output is above your potential, let's say at point A, you can say this is a positive output gap. If you're producing inside the PPC, that means something like unemployment, then you can call this a negative output gap. And if you're producing on the PPC, you can say there is no output gap. You can show it this way, but I don't think they will come to this level with a PPC. These output gaps, they will ask you in business cycle. They can ask you in macroeconomic equilibrium. That is unit number 5 and 6. Then difference between capital and human capital. What is capital, Lama? You all know capital are the physical, tangible assets, man-made things that aid in the production process. Then what's human capital? So when they ask you to distinguish between these two, you write 2 paragraphs. One paragraph about capital, then human capital. So what is human capital? So human capital, Lama, it's not any tangible thing. Human capital, we say, is the knowledge, the experience, the favorable research knowledge that people have, the favorable health, all of that, the skills that people have. That is what you call human capital. Now, for example, now why are you doing A-levels, doing a degree, doing a professional qualification, maybe doing an internship someday? Why? That is to improve your human capital, to improve your knowledge, your skills, your experience. That's what that is. That's what human capital means. The knowledge, the skills, the experience, and all that people have. Why is economic growth slow in a command economy? This one, Lama, you can argue in different ways. One way, yes, human capital also is a type of capital. Yes. Okay. Why is it slow? One thing that I could think of is in a command economy, there might not be competition. So in a command economy, government produces everything. So when there is no competition, there is no motivation for you to, no incentive for you to do better and expand and this thing. Now just think in Sri Lanka, think of the railway service. In Sri Lanka, that's a government thing. Think okay, think of a country, the entire thing is run by the government. Think if Sri Lanka is like Sri Lanka's railway department. Look at our railway department now. Since there is no competition, look at the state of certain trains, like the certain trains, right? Especially the ones that are commuting, not the hill country, not the vacation type of a train. The daily trains that are going in Colombo, people are hanging and going. So there is no motivation for them to increase more trains. Then almost all the time trains are delayed. Do they come on time? No, at least 10 minutes, 15 minutes delay, right? The timetable says it will be at 8 o'clock, but it comes at 8:50. So then, obviously more people come and now people are hanging and people die. So all of that is there. And sometimes even the ticket counter. Sometimes, you can even escape without buying a ticket. So it's not very efficient, right? That's when the government handles the things. So because why is the railway department also not motivated to do better? Because they don't have competition. So usually in a command economy, you can argue that economic growth can be slow mainly due to the fact that there is no competition. And as a result of that, there is a lack of incentive to do better. That could be one way of looking at that. Is that okay? Then coming into this, how did money facilitate division of labor and specialization? This also Nama is there in the past paper. It's there on YouTube. So yes, you can take that as a weakness of command also. How did money facilitate division of labor and specialization? The story is simple. Remember, Lama, earlier before money, people used something called what? The barter system. Now, barter system had a lot of problems, no? Like you had to find double coincidence of bonds. Uh, there were storage issues. There were divisibility issues. So many issues. So during that time, exchanging goods were very difficult. Now, let's say if I produce rice, for me to exchange this and find something what I want is difficult. Storage issues, divisibility issues, double coincidence of bonds I can't find, right? Not easy. So then what happened during that time? People didn't want to specialize. Now, what is specialized? Where you do one thing. Now, for example, I'm specialized in doing econ classes. I do econ classes, I get my money, I buy all my other stuff with that. I don't grow vegetables and rice and fruits and sew my own clothes. I specialize in econ classes. I get my money from that. I buy my clothes, I buy my vegetables, I buy my fruits. So earlier, when exchanging was very difficult, people didn't want to specialize because it's very hard. No? Now, if someone in the barter system, if he specializes, if he is only producing rice, it's very hard for him to exchange that rice with other stuff. So during those times, specialization was discouraged. People didn't want. So one small house, they would, grow some vegetables also. They will sew their own clothes. They will do, small things. They will try to do everything. That's how it works. But then with money coming in, that problem was eliminated. No, the lack of double coincidence of bonds, all the issues in barter system were eliminated. So then what happened? Now people realized, "Anna, if I do something that I am good at, I can easily exchange this with other people now. Let's say if I am good at sewing clothes, and I will sew clothes, right? I will sew as much as possible clothes. I can easily sell this for money now. Like now there is money. So I will easily sell this. With that money, I can buy whatever I want. So with money coming in, people realize, look here, now it's very easy to exchange our goods. So therefore, what did they do? They started to specialize. And once they started specializing, what happened? Large scale production started. So now I am, let's say, good at sewing clothes. What do I do? Now I sew and sew. Now I hire 2, 3 employees also. Now I start a small business. Like little by little, like let's say 1, 2 years down the line, now I have an entire sewing garment factory. I'm specialized in garment production. So with money coming in, people decide to specialize and large scale production started. And in large scale production, what happens? They will practice division of labor. So in a large factory, one person will not be cutting the cloth and sewing the cloth and packaging the cloth and doing everything. And you have cutting department. Then in the garment factory, and you have the packaging department. You have the sewing department. You have the ironing department. And so one person is doing only one thing. That's how the whole story goes, Lama. That's how money facilitated specialization and division of labor. This is there in, if you have my unit one theory note, go back and check. It's there in that. Uh, it's there in the past paper that we discussed also on YouTube. Fine. It's also there in the unit 7. Then social socialist I went through. This is also done. Land, why is it considered as a primary resource? So I've also not come across this, but one reason why you can think of why do you consider land as the main thing? Because to do anything, you need land, right? You need air, you need some sort of a physical actual land space to get anything done. So maybe that is why they consider land as the primary resource. In other words, I'm guessing the question was why is land considered as a primary resource? Primary, or why is it considered as the main one? Because without any land, that land means all natural resources. Without that, I don't think you can get anything done. That is why it might be considered as the primary one. Okay, the past papers we went through. Okay. Then full production and full employment. What is full production, full employment? Full employment is, Lama, now let's say there are 100 people in a country. There are 100 people in a country. All 100 of them have jobs. That's what you call full employment. All the resources you have employed. 100 people are there. All 100 people you have given a job. That's full employment. All resources in economy being employed in the production process. And what is full production? Full production is where all those employed resources are being used to their maximum sustainable level. Let's say if all these 100 people who have been given a job, they are only working for, let's say, 2 hours a day. Are they being used to their maximum sustainable level? No. A person can work for around 8, 9 hours a day. No? So full production is where all these 100 people who are employed, let's say if all of them are working for, let's say, 8, 9 hours a day, that means you're getting their maximum sustainable out. Then that is only what you call full production. So you have taken all the 100 people, full employed. All the 100 people who are taken are working for 8 hours under full production. So if both of these are met only, you have productive efficiency. So uh, another example I gave is during class was, let's say I have my own institute. I have my own institute. There are 4 classrooms in that. So if all 4 classes are occupied under full employment, but let's say the classes have a capacity of 50 students, but only 5 students are there in that class. That means even though the class is fully employed, like no one else can come and now take the class. No, I'm doing a class, but only 5 students are there. So some benches are just idling. Some, capacity is not fully utilized. That means there is no full production. So for you to have full employment and full production, all your resources have to be employed, and the employed resources should be used to its maximum sustainable level. Then you can say there is full employment and full production. Okay. Now, is that okay? The one who had that question, fine. Then disadvantages of a market economy. This number you can even get it from Google. So what kind of disadvantages do you have? So in a market economy, one you can say uh, income inequality. You can even go with Lamai in unit number 8, the reasons for market failure. So you can say in a market economy, there is income inequality. There could be macroeconomic instability. A market economy will not provide public goods. You can say a market economy will over provide demerit goods. A market economy will ignore negative and positive externalities. So that reasons for market failure part, you can connect over here. Lama. So one more thing, I think I gave this for you for homework during the revision class to do a small Google search on the advantages and disadvantages of those two economic systems, because those are also questions recently that has been tested in your paper. right? Then division of labor. What was the question? Division of labor. I thought, how does it improve productivity? So if it's on productivity, so remember what is division of labor? Division of labor is where you break down the production process into smaller parts, and one person does one thing. Let's say a car manufacturing. One person doesn't manufacture everything in the car element. So there is a small team. They are in charge of the tires. Another team in engine. Another team doors. Another team painting. Another team, let's say, seats. So you have divided the process into small parts. So one person does only one thing. I don't fix the engine and the tire and the doors and the seats and the seat belts. I don't do it. Let's say I'm in the tire department. So because of division of labor, what happens? People start to become specialized level. People become experts in that. Let's say for the entire year, I have been fixing tires and doing tire related work. Now I'm an expert of tires. So when people start specializing, then what happens? Their productivity improves. No less mistakes. They can do the job quicker. Now even think with me doing now instead of doing only A-level econ classes, let's say I was doing business studies also. Let's say I was also doing O-level classes. So I am doing O-level classes, I am doing business studies classes, I am doing econ classes, I am doing some other classes, I am doing so many things. I am not specialized in. But now, right now, I'm specialized in econ classes. So I only teach econ. I teach your batch, I teach the other batch. Keep on doing econ. So now what happens? Now I am much more productive. If to make a question, or let's say to make a paper, and you tell me to make a 50 MCQ paper, let's say in 2 hours, I'll make a 50 MCQ paper. I can do that. Why? Because I have been doing that over and over again. I have specialized in it. So now I'm much more faster. So my productivity is much higher. Now, compared, let's say now, if I tell you all to make a 50 MCQ paper, it might take you, let's say, 2, 3 days sometimes. But I have been here. I know from where and where. I take some past papers. I'll change the question a little here and there. I'll change some numbers, demand equations apply, and I'll make it a change. Right? And I'll make a paper easily. So I might be more able to do that because why? I'm specialized in it. That's the story with division of labor and productivity. So because of division of labor, you become more specialized. When you are specialized, your productivity improves. Less mistakes, you work faster. That's how it goes. Okay. Potential output, I'm thinking that is okay. I went through what potential output is. High competition disadvantage market economy, not really. High competition is actually good for consumers. When there is high competition, there is much more choice for the consumer, and also prices will be less. Now, let's say if I am the only econ teacher who is teaching English medium econ, what will I do? I will charge a very high price. Let's say I will say 10,000 a month for classes. Will my quality be that good? Might not be that good because I know no matter what I do, you all will still come to me. So when there is no competition, that's actually bad. Having good high levels of competition, Lama, it's not really decent. It's a good thing. Now, when there are, let's say, 20, 30 English medium econ teachers, so now I know if I don't do a good job, one day you all might go to some other teacher. And I know I can't charge 10,000 a month, you all will go to another teacher. So now I will charge a reasonable fee like what others are charging. I will try to give a good service to you all. So having competition, having healthy competition is actually an advantage, not really a disadvantage. It's good for the consumer in their perspective. Okay. Okay. Then there was this question, Lamai, of a role of an entrepreneur. I think it's a good question. We will discuss this in our past paper class also. There was a question, I think, in 2022 asking for the role of entrepreneurs and technology in utilizing the resources more efficiently or something like that. Okay. So, what is this role of the entrepreneur in utilizing resources efficiently? How does that work? So what you need to, we'll anyway discuss in detail in our past paper class, don't worry. So what you need to highlight is you need to say that, look here, an entrepreneur is someone who gets all the factors together. You start off your answer with saying that he mobilizes all the resources. And then an entrepreneur also, who is a business leader, he will do what? He will motivate his employees, thereby making employees work better. He will make the right strategic decisions on, to exactly do what the economy wants. Now, entrepreneur will not come and produce something the economy doesn't want, element. He will come and produce something. He will also fulfill a gap in the market. An entrepreneur will come and he will realize, okay, there is a gap like this in the market. There is nothing like this, right? I should come and fulfill that gap. So he will come and do that. And also now, for example, one reason I started this fast track program also realizing there is a gap like this. Realizing, now there are certain students, most of you all will want in the last now I can, like I always say, I can drag the theory revision class syllabus. No, I can drag it until 2, 3 months for A levels. I can do that. No issue at all. Makes my job also much easier. But why do I finish it and start a fast track? Maybe I felt there was a gap in the market. I felt, students needed a quick way of, recapping the syllabus all over again while doing questions and papers and all of it. So that is why there was a gap in the market. And I came up with a whole solution saying, okay, like let's do a fast track program in the last 7 months of the exam. 7 months close the exam, under there is this. So an entrepreneur will always try to come up and also solve a gap in the market. So he'll be innovative, coming with different things. So all of those you can write when you're talking about the role of entrepreneurship and how an entrepreneur uses the resources properly and how he improves the efficiency. We'll talk about it in detail when we work in class. So why is an entrepreneur important in economy? You can talk about the functions of an entrepreneur. He gets all the resources together. He introduces innovation. He, makes strategic decisions, right? He improves the utilization of resource. Because of him, only people have jobs out there, right? You can talk about those, right? Then, okay. Then coming, is that okay? The one who had the question, say, we have a bit more. I should be able to finish in like 15 minutes. Then we had in a PPC, we say technology is fixed. Now, in opportunity cost, to clarify this, we are not saying that in opportunity cost, the technology is not fixed. We are not saying that, right? When you're looking at constant opportunity cost and let's say increasing opportunity cost, what you're saying is that the technology is different. We are not saying that it's changing. For example, if you take production of bread and mobile phones, I am not saying the technology is changing. We are saying the technology used to produce mobile phones is different from the technology used to produce bread. So technology itself is constant. Whenever you're drawing a PPC, you're not, because if you don't hold it constant, because now you all know if technology improves, the PPC will shift to the right. If the technology, let's say you're using outdated technology, on that PPC will shift to the left. So unless you hold technology constant, you can't draw a single line. A PPC is a line element. A PPC is a line drawn showing the different combinations of, let's say, good A and good B that can be produced. So unless you hold technology constant, you can't draw that line. Okay. And that's why when technology goes up or comes down, improves, or you're using outdated, PPC shifts. So we are not saying that technology is changing. We are saying technology is fixed. And in connecting that to opportunity cost, in opportunity cost, what we are saying is technology is different. Is that okay? Right? Okay. Then this one. Market economy necessarily capitalist. This also I went through in the class on Tuesday also. Hope you were listening. And it's also there on YouTube as well. So a market economy, I told you, doesn't necessarily have to be a capitalist. So remember, what is the difference? That is based on the criteria. I told you based on the decision resource allocation mechanism. If they are using price mechanism, we call it a market economy. If they are using planning mechanism, we call it a commander of planned economy. That's one criteria. The second criteria was based on what? Based on ownership of resources. If the resources in the country are owned by the private sector, we call it a capitalist economy. Owned by the government or the public sector, we call it a socialist economy. So usually a market economy that uses price mechanism will have resources owned by the private sector. Usually a market economy is a capitalist, but doesn't necessarily have to be. So there can be, right now, for example, China. China China is a country that uses is a market economy, meaning it's using price mechanism, but the resources are owned by the government. In China, I told you all the land and all is owned by the government. You don't have land or property under your name. It's the government who's owning the land. So they are for example, China, they are a market, but a socialist. So a market economy doesn't necessarily have to be a capitalist. Usually, yes. Usually, if it's a price mechanism, private sector will own the resource, usually. But not always. You can be using price mechanism and you can also be having government ownership. Examples. Right? Same way the other side also. Command economy doesn't necessarily have to be socialist. You can have command economy that capitalist, but there are no real world examples of that. But there could be. That's the part there. That's there in, I think, in the 2013 past paper question. That means even there is price mechanism that can be counted. Definitely. So you can have a price mechanism and the government owning the resources. Can be done. How does opportunity cost work? I'll come. Not very sure what your question is. Just you can expand on the question if possible. Then, okay, what's a transition economy? A transition economy is an economy moving from planning mechanism to price mechanism. In other words, they're moving from being a planned economy to a market economy. That's what you call a transitional economy. An economy that is moving from planning to price mechanism. In other words, they were a command economy. Now they are moving towards becoming a market economy. That's an economy in transition, or we call it transitional economy. Can we say market economy has capitalism, socialism, both? It can have both, but mainly capitalism. Okay. Mainly a market economy will have private sector ownership. Exception like unless it's like a socialist market, something like China. So usually market economy don't write both, you say capitalism, but it doesn't always have to be capitalism. Right. Then marginal cost and marginal benefit, not very important, but as long as you know allocative efficiency in the unit, it's fine. But what is marginal cost? Marginal cost is the additional cost you get from, additional cost of producing a unit. So for example, let's say if I am going to supply this class just for one student, let's say my cost is 10,000 rupees. One more student, let's say now my total cost is 12,000. So my additional cost of producing this for one more student is 2,000. Let's say another student comes, now my total cost is 15,000. So my additional cost is 3,000. So marginal cost is the additional cost of producing one extra unit. We study this in unit number 4 as well. So your marginal cost curve is usually upward slope, MC curve. The more and more you produce, your additional cost keeps on rising, connected to increasing opportunity cost also. Then what is marginal benefit? That's the additional benefit you get from a unit. Now, that is downward sloping line. Why is it downward slope? Now, remember, when you're very hungry, you go and eat let's say, a sausage bun. You're very hungry during school, interval bell rings, you run and eat a sausage bun. The first sausage bun you eat, you're going to feel really good now because you are very hungry. You ate the, okay. Also, the Muslims, you can relate this to during fasting. So while you all were fasting, let's say now you broke your fast at around 6:30. When you broke your fast, whatever that first thing, right? The first sip of water or the first short eat that you eat, that's going to give you a lot of satisfaction. But when you keep on eating more and more and more, it's coming down, right? The additional benefit you're getting, let's say the first samosa and the 10th samosa is different. The first samosa, you're going to feel very relieved. Right? So this is the price slash marginal benefit slash marginal cost curve. The first samosa you eat, you get a huge benefit, right? Let's say you get a benefit of 10. The second samosa you eat, you get a benefit of only, let's say 8, because now you're already kind of full. And when you keep on eating, let's say you eat around the 5th or 6th samosa. So now you're already very full. So you're getting a very low benefit. That's why the marginal benefit curve is downward slope. Okay? So marginal benefit is the additional benefit you get by consuming one extra unit. Marginal cost is the additional costing curve to produce one extra. So where both of these match each other is where we say the point of allocative efficiency. For you to have allocative efficiency, marginal cost and benefit should match each other. That's that. Okay. Then I'll connect it with this also. Productive efficiency, allocative efficiency. I went through this a little bit in detail when we went through our paper. So productive efficiency and allocative efficiency are conditions needed for what? To achieve economic efficiency. To achieve economic efficiency, you need to have productive efficiency and you need to also have allocative efficiency. So what is productive efficiency? Productive efficiency is where you produce at the maximum sustainable level using all your resources. So that there are two conditions. Remember the whole story here. So in order to achieve economic efficiency, you need to have what? Two conditions. One is productive, or you can call it production efficiency. You need to have allocative efficiency. So if these two conditions are met, and you can say there is what? There is economic efficiency. That is that. Okay. Then what is to have productive efficiency? What should you have? To have productive efficiency, you need to have number one, you need to have full employment. Remember, I explained this. What is full employment? Utilizing all your resources to the fullest. For example, all your resources have to be employed. If you have 100 people, all 100 people should have a job. Then what is full production? You need to have full employment and full production. All the 100 people who are working should be used to their maximum sustainable. They have to be working, let's say, 8 hours a day. So then you have full production. So if both of these are met, if full employment is met, full production is met, and then you can say productive efficiency is met. Then what is allocative efficiency? Allocative efficiency is producing what the society wants. You can be productively efficient. You can be using all your resources, producing at the maximum sustainable level. But what if you're producing what the society doesn't want? You're using all of this, and let's say you're producing, let's say you're producing guns. Society doesn't want guns. So you are employing all your resources fully, you're having full production and all, and you're producing guns. What's the point? Society doesn't want guns. Society wants, let's say, food and clothes. So allocative efficiency is where you produce what the society wants. So if you produce at the most optimal level and produce what the society wants, then you will reach economic efficiency. So the condition for allocative efficiency is marginal cost has to equal marginal benefit. That's the condition for that. That's what I just went through before. That's why I went through this question. So this is again an area, Lama, how to show this on a PPC, how to explain this and all. Is an area that is highly tested in your paper. If you all did the past papers, you all would have realized almost every other paper, there is a question connecting to economic efficiency. Productive, allocative, something, there is a question. Productive efficiency is equal to economic efficiency. No. So productive efficiency plus allocative efficiency is only equal to economic efficiency. Just because you have productive efficiency, that doesn't mean you have economic efficiency. So how do you show this on a PPC? Productive efficiency is any point on the PPC. So any point on the PPC is productively efficient. Now, if you're using all your resources, if you have full employment and all those resources are also used to its maximum sustainable level, then you will be producing on the PPC. So any point on the PPC is productive efficiency. Any point. You can be right on top, right at the bottom, anywhere is productive efficiency. But for you to have allocative efficiency, the marginal cost and marginal benefit should match. Now, for example, let's say this is food and this is clothes. So what is the right amount of foods and clothes the society wants? So for that, you can show this like this, the marginal benefit and marginal cost curve for food. So this is the exact amount of food the society wants. And this is the marginal cost and marginal benefit curve for food. Then what is the amount of cloth the society wants? Clothes. So this is the, let's say, marginal cost and the marginal benefit and the marginal cost for clothes. So then based on this, this is the amount of clothes the society wants. So this point here, this middle point, maybe in my example, this point here could be, this is productively efficient also. It's allocatively efficient also, meaning it is economically efficient. So allocative efficiency also will be only at one point. So both productive and allocative event together gives you economic efficiency. BEP is common to all economy. BEP in the sense break even. Is that okay now? The PPC part of it? Basic economic problems are common to all economic systems because all economic systems face scarcity. So because of scarcity, all of them have to answer three basic economic problems. Okay. Right. Mm, Coming the next one. Hold on. That is done. Done. Okay. Then this one. Uh, Shift of a PPC and the movement of a PPC. Remember, I told you all this in class also. How do you figure out whether the PPC is shifting or whether it's a movement of the point? So you need to logically understand this based on the determinants of a PPC. Went through in class on Tuesday. You can refer back to the recording if you missed. So under determinants of a PPC, you have two determinants. What are the two determinants of a PPC? One is your factor endowment. That is how much of resources you have. Okay, factor endowment, or you can call it your resource endowment. How much of land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship you have. The second determinant of a PPC is your factor productivity, or you can call it resource productivity. So your resource productivity depends on what? Resource productivity will depend on the technology, the level of human capital, management methods, division of labor and specialization, and those are determinants of productivity. So only if any of these factors change, your PPC will shift. For any other reason, PPC won't shift. So only if your factor endowment increase or decrease, only if the factor productivity increases or decreases, PPC will shift. So I'll give you an example. Now, they are not going to come and directly tell you, for example, labor increased. If labor increased, you can produce more. PPC will shift out. But they will not come and give you a question saying labor increased. They will say, for example, workers who are working in the Middle East have now come back to settle in Sri Lanka. And you should have common sense. If there were some people working in the Middle East, now they have come back and settled in Sri Lanka. That means now they are working in Sri Lanka. So our labor has increased now. And so then you can say, how do you show PPC will shift up? Another example I will give, okay, they will say, for example, there has been a natural disaster. There has been a tsunami and now some buildings have been destroyed. Tsunami buildings destroyed means that means our capital has gone down. Number of capital we have has gone down. Capital gone down. Okay. Then PPC will shift inwards. Then they might come and say, okay, let's say, for example, the government has implemented a new program to provide training for students after A-levels. So let's say after A-levels, now you have a 6-month course to practically learn something. Government has come up with something like that. Then you should know, okay, that means, okay, what is happening? No, labor is not increasing, but the skills of the labor are increasing. Where is that? Human capital. So human capital is improving. And then PPC will shift outwards. So figuring out if it's affecting one of this, that's how you figure out whether the PPC shifts or not. And common example they give you is unemployment. Now, unemployment rising doesn't mean labor is coming down, Nilaman. Unemployment rising means, let's say there are still 100 people in the country. Now, more people don't have jobs, but still 100 people are there. So you can't shift the PPs. That's why in unemployment, it's a point moving. Because if the people leave the country and go, and you can shift the PPs. But here the people are still there in the country, just that they don't have jobs. You can't say labor has come down, still 100 people are there in the country. That's why we are shifting it, showing by a point. So the PPC, remember, will only shift if any of these determinants change now. And also these determinants also, they are not going to directly give. They won't say land increase, capital decrease. Another example I can say for land, okay, they'll say Sri Lanka discovered a new mineral deposit or a new oil deposit in Manna. Oil deposit, natural resource, we have found a new one. That means what has happened? Our land has increased. Land is natural resource. And then what will happen? And our PPC will shift to the right. So you need to be logically able to argue and see which of these are going on. That's how you figure out whether PPC shifts. So no. And the more questions and practice you do by logically trying to understand where it connects, the better you will get at that. Is that okay? Okay. The one who had the question on uh, this PPC shifting or movement. Hoping you were there. Okay. Right. Then an external cost occurs with opportunity cost. That means external cost means an externality. Remember, when you're going to produce an economic good, there can be a positive or a negative externality associated with that. Remember, we learned unit number 8. So let's say, for example, economic good could be education. Now, for example, right now, I'm providing you all education. Because I'm providing you a class, maybe you might go and clarify a doubt of your friend. Maybe some of your friend told, go and ask her this doubt and come and clarify it for me. So maybe that is what's happened. So then, and there is a positive externality there. Or maybe I am shouting and doing my class here. Now the people outside my room, they are getting disturbed. Negative externality. So the production and the consumption of an economic good can generate an external cost or benefit. So external cost means a negative external. That's what we are saying. Is that okay? There's an external cost associated with opportunity cost means there's the negative externality part we learn in unit number 8. Okay. Yes. Then there was a question on there was a question on opportunity cost. Can you let me know how this works? Now, opportunity cost, there was a question on how opportunity cost works. So this, are you referring to the PPC? Are you referring to the basic, what opportunity cost means? What are you referring to? Then how an economy can grow faster by sacrificing current consumption? Yeah, so you have to start that with this thing. So you can start your answer by saying, look here, an economy can broadly produce two goods, consumer goods, capital goods. Consumer goods are the goods that are used for final consumption, example, food, clothes. Capital goods are the goods used to produce other goods, machines, buildings. So let's say we take two economies, economy A and economy B. For example, economy A is producing more consumer goods, so their current living standard is high. In the future, they might not grow because they are producing very little capital. Then economy B, let's say they are producing more capital goods. You can explain that, like how it's there in the tip. You have to draw the graph and explain. Drawing the graph is very important. If you look at the recent papers, so that drawing the graph itself, they gave a lot of marks. Okay. How opportunity cost works in the PPC? Okay. So quickly to go through this part. So there are different ways you can read this. Okay. So let's say this is my PPC and I'm quickly drawing a few points. So let's say this is point A, this is point B. Yeah, I'll give some goods. Let's say this is capital goods. This is consumer goods. Capital goods total 1,000, 900, 500, 0. Consumer goods, let's say 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. Okay. So if I ask you, right, so I'll quickly give in some questions for us to quickly learn. Okay. If the question is, what is the opportunity cost? What is the opportunity cost of moving from point A to point B? Can you all give me an answer? What is the opportunity cost of moving from point A to point B? Opportunity cost, remember, is always what you are sacrificing. So what is the opportunity cost? When you're going from point A to point B. Right now you are producing at point A, now you're moving into point B. So when you're moving from point A to point B, you're increasing the production of consumer goods. You're increasing the production of consumer goods by 1,000. What are you sacrificing? You were earlier producing 900 capital goods. Now you're producing only 500. So you're sacrificing 400 capital goods. So what is the opportunity cost of moving from point A to B? 400 capital goods. Opportunity cost is always what you are sacrificing. Now you can't say opportunity cost is 1,000 consumer goods. It's only what you are sacrificing. So 400 capital goods. Then same way, now what if they ask you, what if the question was, what is the what is the marginal opportunity cost? Or they ask you, what is the opportunity cost of one extra unit? Yeah, marginal or one extra unit when moving from A to B. Can you all tell me this? Now here, what should we do now? If they ask for marginal opportunity cost, now, I'm not asking in total, I'm asking for one extra unit. So to produce 1,000 consumer goods, I have to sacrifice 400 capital goods. That means to produce one consumer good, how much capital goods should I sacrifice? This is where you use the equation now. Remember, marginal opportunity cost equals number of units foregone divided by number of units gained. So when you're going from point A to B, how much are you foregoing? You're foregoing 400 capital goods. You're gaining 1,000 consumer goods. Then how much is your 400 divided by 1,000? 0.4 capital goods. Always what you are sacrificing. So if they ask you just opportunity cost, you can give the total. If they ask what is the marginal opportunity cost or opportunity cost of producing one extra unit, then you put it into the equation and you get that. Okay, that's second. Then same way, Lama, maybe for homework, you can think when moving from B to A. At the B to A, the opportunity cost would be in total 1,000 consumer goods. Marginal would be foregone 1,000, gained 400. Then instead of asking you a movement from A to B, they can simply ask you, maybe the question can ask you, what is the opportunity cost of, they can ask you, okay, they can ask you number 3, what is the opportunity cost of, let's say, producing 2,000 consumer goods? What is the opportunity cost of producing 2,000 consumer goods? So here they are not saying moving from A to B, this thing, nothing. They're just asking, what is the opportunity cost of producing 2,000 consumers? Can someone give me an answer? Because I am producing 2,000 consumer goods, how much of capital goods can't I produce? That is the opportunity cost. Now, when I am producing 2,000 consumer goods, how much of capital goods am I producing? I am producing 900 capital goods. If not for these 2,000 consumer goods, I could have produced 1,000 capital goods. So because I am producing 200 consumer goods, 2,000 consumer goods, this 100 capital goods I can't produce. No? Remember, we went through this in the paper also. So what is the opportunity cost of producing 2,000 capital goods? Your answer is, 2,000 consumer goods, answer is 100 capital goods. That is your answer. Then what if the question says, I'll give another one. What is the opportunity cost of producing, I'll say, 500 capital goods? Can you all tell me? What is the opportunity cost of producing 500 capital goods? So tell me, because you're producing 500 capital goods, how much of consumer goods can't you produce? Now, when I am producing 500 capital, this is 500 capital. When I'm producing 500 capital, I can produce 3,000 consumer. how much of consumer can't I produce? I can't produce this amount. No. So I can't produce this 1,000. So that is my opportunity cost. So 1,000 consumers. So opportunity cost lama, you can get moving from one point to another point, or they can give you what is the opportunity cost of producing this much. So you should be able to read the graph properly. Then I'll give you one more thing. Can you tell me? So let's say there is point C. Can you tell me what is the opportunity cost? Okay, so let's say point C is lamai 400 capital goods, 1,000 consumer goods. So what is the opportunity cost of, let's say, moving from point C to point A? What's the opportunity cost of moving from point C to point A? Do I have to sacrifice anything when I'm moving from point C to point A? That's my question. No, right? When I'm going from point C to point A, I can increase the production of capital goods also. I can increase consumer goods also. Is there an opportunity cost then when moving from point C to point A? So you can say opportunity cost is zero. Okay, tell me this. Uh, I'll give you a bit more of a difficult one. Mm, okay. I'll put in another point here. Mm, right, so let's say this is point D. Okay, that is point D. And let's say mm, okay, not this point. I'll say point D is inside. Okay, let's say this is point D. Okay, can you tell me what is, okay, let's say at point D, I am producing 600 capital goods, 500 consumer goods. So if I ask you, what is the opportunity cost when moving from point C to point D? Point C to point D. Point C was 400 capital, 1,000 consumer. Point D is 600 capital, 500 consumer. What's the opportunity cost of moving from C to D? What do you all think? Is it zero or is there a number involved? What do you think? C to D. So when you look at the graph line from C to D, you can see when I'm going from point C to point D, I am sacrificing consumer goods by 500. I am gaining 200 more capital goods. Capital goods is going from 400 to 600. Consumer is going from 1,000 to 500. So is my opportunity cost 500 consumer goods? The question is, do you have to sacrifice 500 consumer goods to gain 200 more capital goods? You can, you can gain 200 more capital goods even without sacrificing the 500 consumer. For example, you can produce at, let's say, this one, point E. You can get the 200 capital goods still while producing the same amount of consumer goods. So you don't necessarily have to sacrifice, right? When you're going from C to D, it looks like you're giving up 500. That is because you're inefficient. But to go from C to E, you don't have to definitely sacrifice because you can even go instead of C to D. Let's say you go to C to E, you can increase consumer goods by 200 even without sacrificing any. So you can increase capital goods by 200 even without sacrificing any consumer goods. So the answer is not 500 consumer goods. The answer here also is again zero. So you need to see Do you have to definitely sacrifice? Yes or no? Yes, only that opportunity cost comes. So that's a few questions from PPC and opportunity cost. Is that okay? You can get a screenshot also. If can someone send it on the group also for those who didn't, you can just jot it down just for you all to get some understanding. Okay. Clarify since exams are coming on 29th, can you differ real and nominal? Real income is your purchasing power. Nominal income is your salary. For example, let's say my salary is 100,000. That's my nominal income. Real income is how much of goods and services I can buy with my 100,000. So sometimes, for example, my nominal income might stay constant, but if prices of goods and services increase, with my 100,000, how much of goods I can buy will come down. That's the idea. Okay. Is that okay, Lamai, with all the unit one doubts for now? Any further doubts, Lamai? We also have doubt clearing session until LLs we have, right? Don't worry. Every week we will have one. Shall we wrap it off for today? I will upload this recording also maybe by tonight. It will be available on the website. If you don't have access to the website, please vote in the uh, poll that I sent on the group so that our admin can sort it out. If you have any doubts from other units, you can stay and clarify. I'll end the recording here so that it doesn't have other unit doubts also. Okay, so see you all and have a nice day. I'll see you all finish off all unit number one. From next week, we'll get into unit number two. So see you. Have a nice day.